Hell of a thing. Oklahoma says they're going to send National Guard troops to Texas in order to basically engage in a civil war. Now, they're not going to contextualize it this way, but I guarantee you that is exactly the prerequisite measure here. 25 Republican governors currently agree with Texas as they stand against federal agents at the border. Now, the question is, does a state have the right to engage in bilateral agreements contrary to the United States government? The answer is going to surprise you. Here's the first clip.
There's rumblings that Joe Biden should or may actually federalize the National Guard, take that power away from Greg Abbott. Let's say this showdown, I mean, that's what it is. It's a showdown. It's a showdown of power and loyalties and constitutionality. Let's say he does that. How many people say, no, you know what, screw you, Biden administration? And how many people stay and fight with Texas versus the federal things? And does that put us on course for a force-on-force conflict?
I mean, right now you've got the federal agents that are cutting the wire, and then you've got the Texas National Guard on orders to put up wire. I mean, this is a powder keg worth of tension. So it's very it's a very weird situation. We certainly stand with Texas on their right to defend themselves, but Biden's going to be in a tough situation. So in other words, he's going to try to federalize these troops. In other words, put them on federal orders. And so now their allegiance technically goes to the president of the United States instead of the governor.
Wrong, sir. The allegiance is already to the U.S. Constitution, predicated on the position at hand. Additionally, Biden somewhat has placed himself in this position because he should have federalized all National Guards when the threat came from the Satan of Florida, that he was going to do something very similar. Also, look at the budget. National Guard troops are partially funded by the federal government, okay? He could just stop paying them. All right, here's another one.
You can see on the big wall right there, 25 Republican governors are backing him, including, as you zoom in on Oklahoma, there he is, Kevin Stitt, the governor of Oklahoma. He's up on the big wall and he's live right now from Oklahoma. Governor, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Okay, so why have you and 23 or 24 other governors, all Republicans, said we're going to help Mr. Abbott out in Texas?
Well, I mean, it's pretty simple for us, for Oklahomans. I think for most Americans, this is just common sense. In Texas, there's 28 ports of entry, and it's already a federal law that it's illegal to enter anywhere but those points of entry. I mean, the last time I flew to Mexico, I had to land at an airport and show them my passport. And so the fact that the federal government, Biden, is cutting razor wire, it just makes no sense at all. And so, yes, we have the right to defend our country against invasion. And
Sir, you are the governor of one state, sir. You said the issue in the beginning of that interview. It is a federal law, which means the jurisdiction falls to the Department of Justice. Let's get into it in a statement posted on Truth Social. I'm giving you a narrative and I'm showing you the buildup to their proposed solution. On Truth Social, Trump accused President Joe Biden of, quote, aiding and abetting a massive invasion. I want you to remember the word invasion. It's a reason he's saying the word invasion. It is a reason that the governor of Oklahoma, Kevin Stitt, said the word invasion. Invasion of migrants illegally crossing the border. He also criticized the Department of Justice lawsuits against Texas, one of which was in the news this week after the Supreme Court granted an emergency appeal by the federal government to allow Border Patrol to cut razor wire placed by Texas officials on the banks of the Rio Grande. Quote, here's what Trump said. We encourage all willing states to deploy their guards to Texas to prevent the entry of illegals and to remove them back across the border. Trump is now actively calling on governors to stand against the United States of America. In addition to that, it was in fact weeks after the Supreme Court granted an emergency appeal by the federal government to allow for Border Patrol, federal agents, to cut razor wire. Why? Because of the humanitarian crisis it creates on the border. They are well within their constitutional right of enforcement to do so in lieu of the danger it presents and the liability it creates for the American government. Now, Biden is not forcefully pushing back. Damn a lawsuit, sir. Damn a lawsuit. These cats do not respect the U.S. Supreme Court. They do not respect federal agents. They do not respect jurisdictional authority. They may respect the fact that you have the ability to cut off their paycheck. They may respect that. Or through executive action, go ahead and nationalize all National Guards. It is codified inside of the statute that you have the ability to do this. My point is, the reason why people support Trump, the reason why Trumpites go so hard for Trump is because they believe, given the same situation, Trump would have already done what I just said Biden should do now. There's more. 50 Oklahoma National Guard members. I'm reminding you of 2023 now. 50 Oklahoma National Guard members who deployed to the U.S. Mexico border in support of the Texas Military Department's Operation Lone Star returned to Oklahoma Tuesday, August 29th, 2023. 2023. Comprising both Army National Guard soldiers, Air National Guard airmen, and Oklahoma National Guard members were stationed at security points alongside Texas National Guard members to help identify and report suspicious activity related to illegal immigration and drug trafficking to local law enforcement and U.S. Border Patrol. I said last year when this happened, this is their test run. They're going to see what is the legal, what is the enforcement response to them sending 50? Not much. That was their test play. So now it's in the news that the governor is saying he's going to send troops. He already did in 2023. It already happened. Okay? Now, let's go to the U.S. Constitution, Clause 3. What does the Constitution say about this? Clause 3, acts requiring consent of Congress. Quote, no state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state or with a foreign power, or engage in war. Now, before I go to the next line of the Constitution, it clearly says no, 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 and absolutely not. And then it says something else. Unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. That simply means if you can make a case for invasion, a state can make a case to go to war. That is what it says in the Constitution. This is the reason why these men are utilizing the terminology invasion, and that is why 25 governors have already signed on to this madness. All right, Mayor Mondale, you are an elected official. You appreciate and respect the fact that we have a democracy. That democracy is fading away right before our eyes. What say you?
Listen, I mean, beyond and before I was an elected official, I was also a Marine Corps veteran, right? I am a veteran. Yeah. So to see people weaponize the military in this manner for ploy, for political admiration and expedience is absolutely disgusting to me. Donald Trump is playing Republicans like a violin, and they're going along with it. He literally, there's a bipartisan border bill right now. They're working on the language about to pass. And the tragedy of all of it is Donald Trump is telling Republicans, just posted on Truth Social, do not sign this bill into law. We don't need a border law. Because Donald Trump wants exactly what you just articulated, a war. A war. The problem with them is constitutionality, constitutional scholars, no one's gonna agree that the border problem issue is an invasion by the constitutional definition. That's not gonna stop them from doing what they're gonna do.
That's
because
correct.
they're gonna do this anyway. These are the same people that say they're patriotic, well, the most patriotic people in this country, but they was beating police across the head with American flags on January the 6th. These are the same people that say they love cops. When we said Black Lives Matter, they said Blue Lives Matter. But Donald Trump has turned them on the entire FBI, turned them on the entire Department of Justice, which is the largest police department in this country. We are seeing firsthand the unraveling not only of democracy, but all of the Republican Party and what they lied about. What we know is true right now is that party does not care about America or her institutions. They simply care about being white and protecting it.
That's right. This is about the proximity to power and its proximity to whiteness. We will give you updates as the story develops.